rocking with Texas!
He's a 10.
I choose this family.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 47 of 911 Lone Star Roundup. I'm one of your hosts, Grace, and with me are my lovely co-hosts, Katie.
Hi guys.
And EJ.
Hello.
Today, we will be talking about 911 Lone Star Season 3, Episode 1, titled The Big Chill, aka the epic Season 3 premiere. Oh my gosh, so much happened in this episode. And buckle up, everyone, because this is going to be, well, this will be quite the podcast today. Let's get talking.
That's a good way to say it.
That was perfect way to say it because it's very true.
Yeah. We have quite the opinions to give about this.
Yeah.
To say mildly. So buckle up, grab a drink, grab a snack, and enjoy.
Just make sure that you're not throwing anything at the screen because it may break.
Please don't.
And please don't throw your phone.
And please don't throw
Yes, please don't. We don't want to have any damages on our conscience.
It's like 911 Lone Star Roundup is not held accountable for any damages done to property because of anger.
Yes, and unfortunately we can't be therapists yet. So
Please
don't send us your therapy bill.
You can send that to Fox.
Yeah, really.
Oh yes, do.
Yeah, but we start off the episode with the disciplinary hearing with Billy got punched in the face as he should, and he's got
the shiner was so satisfying.
Yes, it was.
It gave me a little bit of joy. Like, I was just like, okay, you deserved that, and stuff. And like, so there's this hearing of a bunch of people we've never met before, and I'm just like, okay. And then Billy. And then like, it was just weird because they were calling Billy a superior officer at the time, which Billy hadn't stepped into his role as deputy chief yet. He definitely wanted the job, and I think he was offered it after he asked for it. It was never offered to him directly, technically.
Yeah, I think it was kind of one of those, well, he finds out that Owen turned it down, so then Billy goes to them. It's like, hey, well, if the other captain turned it down, I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's a Billy move.
Totally.
But like, he wasn't a superior officer, I think, at the most, which I think we talked about when we watched the episode.
Yeah,
was
he wasn't.
that he could have been like they could have made it out as like a civilian attack, not like any disciplinary stuff.
Yeah, there was just like it just wasn't quite accurate. Unless I'm completely missing something that happened in the last episode of season 2, but if none of us think that he was superior at that time, like he wasn't official yet, I think we have a fairly good chance on being right.
Yeah.
So, I think for me it was just thinking like the deputy chief wasn't stepping down for a few more months is what I remember at the end of season 2. And so in that time frame, there was not that much of a time frame between, Owen turning it down and Billy showing up at the station.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it definitely he was not officially superior officer.
Right, yeah. And kind of Owen was like to them, like, you should be more worried about getting the 126 back than this. Like, that should be a priority.
Wrong. Exactly.
Yeah, no, they're not.
And how many times has Owen and Billy butted heads and not had disciplinary actions against each other?
A few times, but...
Did they physically, though? I think this was the first... I think this was the first physical altercation. But yeah. I think they've basically just thrown punches without throwing punches before.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? Never mind. It's Judd that punched him.
I was just thinking, I was like, wait, somebody did it. Oh, wait, that was Judd who punched him.
Yep.
Moving on. Yeah.
But then Owen walks out and he tells the team, who of course is all there, that he's been suspended for an unclear time, and the remaining 126 for the time being will be staying in their temporary assignments permanently.
I just listened to that and my brain had to do a quick shuffle, like, excuse me? You mean what exactly?
Yeah, literally. Like it was just like, oh, okay. And I just love like the conversation comes after because it was brought up that the 126 is red tagged for demolition and just like they can't do that. And Auntie's like, they're the city, they can do whatever they want. Yes.
That is
True.
the sad reality of it.
No,
Yeah.
it is. With anything, honestly. And then Mateo's like,
Hmm.
wow, it's really over then. And Owen's like, you're kidding? You kidding me? This isn't the end. This isn't even the beginning of the end. And Mateo's just like, is it the middle?
I'm just there like
I
Mateo,
love
yes.
Mateo.
He's like so like, yeah, Mateo, like I feel like Mateo's just a literal sometimes and I'm just like, oh baby. And then Owen's just like, they knock us down 7 times, we get it back up 8. And Tommy's just like, that's right. And Owen's just like, the 126 is our home, we built it together, we're gonna fight for it together. And Marjan's just like, as a family. And I'm just like, we also see throughout, which I kind of feel like you can kind of tell, like if you rewatched again, that Marjan's like kind of the most one affected and stuff. Like I feel like she takes it like the hardest, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, out of the 126, I feel like Owen, TK, and Marjan and Paul are kind of the ones the most affected in some ways because they literally uprooted their lives to come and work for the 126, like from their other places, Miami, Chicago, New York.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I feel like for TK it's different though, just because he didn't really have a choice. And
True.
yeah, his life is uprooted, but in like other senses, like he was gonna be there either way. But also
Yeah.
like and like I feel like other people like Jed, I feel like he already lost the 126 twice once. So I feel
Yeah.
like the new 126 and losing the 126 again is just
Yeah.
like going through the emotions again because he's losing
Right.
like he's actually losing the physical place where now he has the physical place. So it's just like,
Then Owen has to say, we're going to fight until hell freezes over.
and that was like, you know, they do
And
that.
I'm
then
like,
and you're just there like, oh, don't say that. And
and
it's
then
cold out.
fast forward to January when there's a blizzard in Texas.
Yeah. Uh,
Which is
uh,
like ironically, it's months later.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's still like you should have said
6 months later, and you're just like, Owen. But like, you know, they do this in like every single disaster where they say something to have to like make the fast forward or make us get there or at least see this because they do flashback again after a little bit and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of people were critiquing it, myself included, because I'm like, okay, listen, I'm from New York and I'm from the snowiest place in New York, not to mention like the snowiest city in the US in general. I'm just like, wow, yeah, they did a pretty good job.
Yeah. I think like a couple of days prior to this airing, we got like a snow dumped on us here.
Oh yeah.
So it seemed very fitting.
Yeah,
Actually, where I'm at least, so on Monday we had like a foot of snow, and for where I'm at, that is a lot. And so
yeah, it's just funny, especially thinking about this next scene, which will make sense once we talk about it. But like, we just got snow yesterday, and these people are like driving in the snow, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna get arrested," like blah blah blah. And I'm just,
Oh yeah, because the radio was saying that you're supposed to stay out off the roads.
I was thinking like, people literally driving way worse here. It's so
Yeah,
like
exactly.
if anybody who's never seen like that bad of weather knew, they'd be like, "Oh my God, how do you not die?" But anyways, there's like a couple driving in a car, and like we mentioned, the news says stay off the roads, which are not. And the man's just like, uh, we're breaking the law, and I'm like, dude, chill, that's nothing for me. And then like, they like end up pulling over because I don't remember exactly why.
Well, she started sliding and kind of like
Oh,
overcorrected and then just slowed down and
you know what
stopped or
I,
something like that.
yeah, you know what kind of like not bothered me, but it was kind of weird about this is like, and of course I did research. They they pulled over because she was driving and she's sliding everywhere, and she's just like, I'm from Ann Arbor, which I which we found out is Michigan. And I looked it, and I'm being very judgy. I will fully admit to this, but like I googled it, and they get 3 feet of snow a year. That's nothing. That's
That's
absolutely
nothing.
nothing. I'm sorry, but gonna be very nitpicky about that. It was just the fact that she was like, "I'm from Ann Arbor," and I'm like, I googled their yearly snow, whatever you want to call it. And it's like 3 feet, and I'm like, that is nothing. I'm just like, okay, okay. But that was funny, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, Maryland doesn't even get like the average seasonal snowfall is like 20 inches, so we don't even get 2 feet a year.
There's
Yeah.
some areas of Washington that get that in like a week.
Yeah, no, but the
That's
thing is,
weird.
we're the weird South, but not South state. So,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
like, I'm amazed we get 20 inches sometimes. That we've
Yeah.
already gotten like half that just
Yeah.
in this week. So, who knows?
Yeah, it's funny. And then like they like get out of the car and they're like rescuing a turtle from the
Yeah, and they've
cold.
got a whole bunch of turtles in their back of their car.
Yeah, which I thought I saw. So they must have been those people that are rescuing like animals and like
Right.
just different things.
Well, yeah, I've seen it. I've heard that like I guess turtles like their body shuts down in cold. So in the snow, I guess it was the vibe I got was it was like a very, very unexpected storm. I mean, obviously. And so nobody was really prepared. So people were out like rescuing animals and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when he goes to rescue the turtle, he sees like the boy in the ice, which we've seen from promos. And he's like, "Oh, I think he's dead." And then the boy opens his eyes, and he's like, "He isn't." And then, of course, we flash back a week prior, and oh man, this next scene.
Introducing a character I already hate, and I've only seen him in like 2 scenes.
So yeah.
Oh, that guy, yes.
I don't like him. Oh my god, like there were so many things wrong with this, but so we meet Jack or Jock, whatever his name is. I don't really care to get it right or to learn it. I'm just like this dude. So he's like calling Tommy in and basically saying like talking to her about one of their last calls on the last shift and saying like, "Oh, you need to like administer more drugs." Yeah, like so they're pushing like he's pushing drugs and I have a lot of problems with it. I have
Yeah,
a
me
lot
too.
of problems with
Oh,
this.
I'm just like, dude, if you want to kiss a pharmaceutical ass, go work for the pharmaceutical company.
Yes. And
To
like,
be very blunt, I'm just like,
no,
I have a huge problem with pushing narcotics.
not to mention like just multiple things. First off, dude, you have a paramedic who is an addict, who is a recovering addict, and this is the stuff you do. This is how people get addicted to drugs, is like people who push hard drugs, push drugs in general when it's not necessary for no reason. Not to mention the person like he was saying they should have pushed drugs on was an elderly person. So that just seems like a elderly abuse to me.
Yeah.
Like, that's just so wrong. And like, I won't like this guy. Like, I get a bad vibe. I get a real bad vibe.
And he's obviously we see like you're getting very quick taste of the environment that Tommy, Nancy, and TK are in, which is a private paramedic company, which they want to make as much money as they can. So they're trying to get them to push all these narcotics, which are more expensive drugs, just to make more money off the people, because a lot of places, private paramedic companies are not covered by most insurances. So the more that paramedics use, the more money they're going to get from the people, which is absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
And then, because TK is, a recovering addict, the last thing he needs is to be forcing drugs onto people that, I don't like this guy. He's totally an ass.
Doesn't Nancy call him like Count Dracula or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, I think
I don't know.
Somewhere.
I think it was along those lines. I'm sure they've had issues with him before because that's what it sounds like. So
yeah. So then Nancy's like putting together a 126 hang, and TK's like asking who she's inviting, and Nancy's just like, the usual suspects. And TK's like, how usual and how suspect. And Nancy's just like, if you want to know if Carlos is invited, dude, just ask. This is sad. And I'm just thinking, okay. And then TK's like, is Carlos coming? And she's like, he is invited. I do not know if he is coming. And TK's just like, are you kidding me, Nancy? And I'm just like, what happened?
Like,
Baby,
what
who
the
hurt
hell?
you? Like, baby, who hurt you? And then and Nancy's just like, I told you to, I'm not taking sides. Don't want to go there quite yet, but TK looks like very pissed, a pissed man. And that's a flip from like last season. So I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
get there. We'll get there.
Mhm.
And then like TK makes the comment like, look, I just think if you're gonna have a 126 hang, it should be exclusive to the 126 crew. And Nancy's just like, there is no 126 crew. The 126 does not exist anymore. So I think it's okay to bend the rules.
Yeah.
This is like when I'm just like, okay, like I'm really starting to like love her because like, yes.
Yeah. Oh no, I've been neutral about Nancy the entire time. Even thought she was a little overrated before. And this episode, I'm just like, that's my girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
I can appreciate the sass because I can be like that sometimes.
She's become part like number one in the fandom for a lot of things right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. And yeah, so she does call Jack, whatever you want to call him, Count Dracula. And I'm like, okay, can we just refer to him whenever he comes up? Is that because I'll do it?
Oh yeah.
Dracula. Yeah, I'm down.
Count Dracula.
Because he sucks the blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was terrible. That was terrible.
So then like she tells him in like more than less words that what happened, like Tommy does, because Tommy comes back in and she's just like, oh, what did Count Dracula want or something like that. And she tells them like what happened, and to basically he wants them to like gouge their patients at every call. And Nancy, I love her comment. This is like the best. She's just like, Cap, can we please get the hell out of this capitalist cesspool already? And I'm like, oh my god, because that's literally what it is. That's what I would call it.
Exactly.
It's
Oh,
like
yes.
every time a show I watch does something like this, where like these paramedics get so interested in this like private ambulance company. This is how it ends up. It's always like, oh, you need to do this, oh, you need to do that. It's always like bad things. And I'm just like, why? I mean, I get that's probably how it is, but it's just like, oh, this is terrible. And they're eating Snickerdoodle cookies, and this is the first thought that comes to my brain. I'm just like, I really hope they didn't get dosed.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sorry guys, I had to say it. That's just how I think.
Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't think of that, but at the same time when you bring it up, it's like that did happen.
Because you know they would go there. If they were gonna go anywhere, they would go there.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't just simply like you know,
TK, yeah.
not exactly bringing TK into the equation. It's like, let's not.
I don't want that to happen, but it was just
it's funny with 911.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't have been funny if that had been the case. So it's like, good thing it wasn't.
I know, seriously. Then we go to Judd and Grace. And like Judd's painting clouds in the nursery, and like it's just really funny. And obviously Grace is like really pregnant, and she like mentions like about the clouds and like Judd being like, oh, I gotta finish the nursery, and she's just like, she won't be able to see like a foot away from her face for like a while. You can chill. And I'm just like, we all knew it.
It's a girl.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure like most of the fandom had predicted that it would be a girl, but I think a few people had said boy. But like, I feel like because Judd had predicted, I feel like we all kind of were like, okay, that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they wouldn't have mentioned it if it wasn't gonna be true.
And I love that we see later on that like he's totally getting ready to be a girl dad too.
Oh, totally.
I feel like because he mentioned he has brothers, so I feel like this is probably like the first girl in his family. So maybe like he's just really excited to finally have a girl in his family.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be the best girl dad, I swear.
Yes. And then he gets a call from Marjan and he declines. And I'm just like, oh, you did not just do that. Because
I
it's
know,
just
I was like, excuse you, what?
like, I totally understand it.
Well, afterwards, you understand it a little bit.
Oh, I
Because you
understand.
understand what it's about, but at the same time, it was like, dude, why'd you do that?
No, I
Yeah.
kind of understood it though in this moment because I was like, I kind of knew where it was gonna go.
Yeah.
And so it's just with the context we had. And I was just like, okay, I see you. But I was just also like, why?
Yeah, it was weird for him to not answer, especially because at the end of season 2, we left them as Paul, Marjan, and Judd were working at the 122.
Yeah.
And Mateo was at the 129.
Yeah. So then, of course, we see Marjan going all buck and being outside the 126. No, she is though, because like she's like standing out there and she's like trying to stop the demolishing, which apparently we learned a little bit later that she's apparently had like a few things up her sleeve, which we'll get to. But like she's trying to stop the demolishing, so she literally runs in front of the wrecking ball and like chains herself to the 126. And like before that, just slightly before that, after like nobody answers her call, she's like abandoners. And that reminds me of the crossover when Buck said that. And we
Yeah.
had been joking, just slightly joking, that kind of Buck and Marjan kind of like slightly differently, but they both kind of do things like this, and it's just funny.
Yeah. Firefox, fire hose. Yeah.
It's like Firefox, fire hose. They're kind of the same thing, not really.
And then she chains herself to a pole there at the 126, and the guys are all pissed, so they call the police. And as they call the police and the police are showing up, they get a call that they're going to have to stop because the snow is coming and they have to wait and they can't do the demolition anyways. But guess who comes to arrest her?
Carlos.
Carlos.
But
He
back
looks
up
so
a
good.
little bit. Let's back up a little bit, because when she chains herself, she goes on Instagram Live. And
That's right.
who predicted this? I think it's that one Lone Star podcast that's out there. Us.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
But yeah,
what was she saying? She was saying something like, they've got a
she was like saying how it was D-Day.
yeah, and they've got like a GoFundMe for because the city needed like so many millions of dollars to keep the station open.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. Honestly. But yeah, Carlos arrests her, which is parallel. There's a lot of parallels in this episode, but this is parallel to obviously the pilot when he arrests Michelle. It is so like it is different but similar. Like this part's similar, just very similar, basically the same. It's like Marjan's like, "Hey, Carlos," and Carlos is just like, "Hey, Marjan."
Just and it was so good though.
No, it was so perfect because like I never thought we would get something like this.
Yeah. And I really want a Carlos Marjan friendship.
I do too. Like I think,
oh yeah, that'd be fun.
I think it'd be really cool to see that. Especially like now. Like it's honestly like a pairing that I wouldn't have expected, just because we've always like done little bits of like Paul and Marjan, but like Carlos and Marjan, I'm kind of here for that friendship.
Yeah, me too. And then once they get in the car, he calls her Chica, which is another reference to 101.
I love how because like they're talking and stuff, and then like towards the end of the conversation, or maybe it was like towards the middle, he's just like, "You better hope that they don't press charges, Chica." And I was like rewatching it for a third time, being like, "You just called her Chica." I was just like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. I think that's when she says, he's like, "What for, my right to assemble or free speech or whatever." And then that's when he drops in a few of the other things they think she's done.
Yeah, like pouring sugar in the bulldozer gas tank, cutting cranes, hydraulic lines. And I'm just like, Marjan, that's bad. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god. Like,
And then it's
totally,
yeah.
totally a movie.
And then Carlos gets into saying some things that, holy smokes, drops some hints. Carlos makes the comment that, everyone's accepted the reality of the situation, brutal as it is. And Marjan's like, are you talking about the 126? Are you talking about you and a certain paramedic?
And it's like, oop.
Yeah.
Like, what?
What are you talking about? And like even before that, like Carlos has mentioned, or like she mentions how like everyone pretty much moved on, and like she's the only one that's really still fighting, and it's just like, yeah, like everyone. I mean, I kind of get it because like at some point you can't be looking back.
Right.
You kind of have to look forward because they probably think that the 126 is gone, and they just have to work on like their future and their now. Where she's still like, oh no, gotta get that back, which I totally understand, but it's also like, girl.
Right. And I think maybe at first they did have the whole team, and then slowly as people started to lose interest or realize that they weren't getting anywhere, they just kind of all started to give up in their own way, and she was the last person to kind of continue to fight.
Right. Which makes sense.
That kind of thing, it really it wears on you is the thing. And so I think people just got worn out.
Right.
Like they kept doing things and kept seeing no progress.
Right.
And so they just kind of stopped because they just didn't have anything left. They had to focus on growing where they were.
Right. Yeah.
And Carlos even says, it's important to know when a thing is over, when to move on. And everybody moves on differently and at different times. And, Marjan was still holding out hope that they could stop the demolition. And, thankfully, because of the snow, it put a halt on it for a short time. But there's no guarantees that, after the snow is so.
Yeah, definitely. And then it was just funny to like how like Marjan's just saying like, oh, we used to be a family, and Carlos is just like, call it a slightly estranged family. And Marjan's just like, some more than others. And like of course that leads into Owen in the Hell Country. Smashing wood, like, Okay.
Just saying,
love that. Okay.
Rob Lowe looked very good, just saying.
Oh yeah. He totally wears the rustic look very well.
People were like, Owen looks like he aged like 50 years.
Actually, no, he did not. That was probably actually one of the best looks I've seen him in this show. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
It may be the beard. I have a thing for beards. But I'm just saying. Yeah. But he wore it well.
No, he definitely did. And then this woman comes up to introduce herself, Sadie, and Buttercup is living his best life, like running to her.
Yes.
And it's also like the fact that like the second we meet her, everyone's just like, oh, that's his love interest. And I'm like, guys, did you not read any of the articles that they posted weeks ago saying that like there was gonna be 2 minor characters entering, and she was the first one, and she's not even the love interest. She's just like it's kind of like how Owen and Michelle were, like kind of like that kind of friendship, like banter, I think is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, she's only going to be in, like, a few episodes. Like, chill.
Yeah, probably be in a few episodes while he's still at the cabin. And then after, I'm sure he'll go back to Austin. And
I mean, I will be honest. I like their dynamic.
I do
like I kind of got a little bit of a vibe between them that I'm just kind of like, okay, I wouldn't be unhappy if, like, they were to be love interest. But also, it gave me a similar vibe to Zoe.
I agree. But
And I think that's why I was like, oh, I wouldn't mind it. But, like, I'm not judging before we meet the second person.
Yeah.
I'm just happy if they're not like
that was Jack, whatever his name is.
What?
As the other
second
person.
No. Well, because they were supposed to be both Owens, not like Jack wasn't supposed to be. They're supposed to revolve around Owen, not.
Oh, I'll be happy if we never see Jack again.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling we're going to see him in at least the first. If we're going to see him in episodes, it's going to be the first 4-ish, I think.
Okay, let me just project here for a moment. Because we're still holding it out, when they get the 126 back and the paramedic crew can move back, they just tell him off as they walk out the door.
Oh, here for it. I'm ready for them all to just go off, and I'm like, they all like say their thing, and then they're just like, goodbye,
bye, bitch.
Love.
Peace.
You know, if this is Netflix, that would happen.
Oh yes,
yeah.
it's not Netflix, but we still hope it will happen.
Totally. And I really like their dynamic. I really like seeing Buttercup and his oh man, but like show more than 2 seconds of it, thank you.
Yeah,
Because
no,
that was my favorite part.
Buttercup. That's all I needed in life.
Honestly. But then we see a guy on skis attached to a car, and this is where I'm
What an
just like,
idiot.
exactly.
I'm looking at him and I'm like, and this is why first responders are needed.
That's real
just
smart.
Just straight flat out stupidity.
Yeah, it reminds me of that scene from 911, and I believe season 2 it was, with the guy that like got his head stuck in the microwave because they were filming something for YouTube or something.
Oh yeah, the first episode.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I was like, total dumbasses. Like, so basically, then a truck was like behind them and basically like ice.
Like, okay. The guy's friend was filming it, and my head just went, it's for TikTok, I bet.
Well, yeah,
Just brings out all the
I was
stupidos.
envisioning 911s, those idiot guys doing those stupid thingies. The one with the microwave, stuck his microwave and then cemented it in.
And then the next season, they reappear again.
Doing the tie the guy to the carousel or whatever, and the
motorcycle spinning it around, and then the G-force popping his eyes out. Basically, yeah.
Yep.
That was it. And I'm just saying, like, stupidity keeps first responders employed. Anyway,
it keeps them in business. Yes.
There are business. And then there's like
uh,
legitimate health emergencies that aren't caused by stupidity, but still stupidity keeps us employed.
Yeah, and then Tommy and Nancy and TK show up to help, and they have.
Well, we didn't really talk about what happened.
Yeah, we didn't even get. Okay, let's.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had to.
Sorry, I forgot that part.
No, we're fine. I was one who interrupted.
But so basically the truck goes like there's a truck behind them, and then like it's not the best because it's trying to go around them, but it's like not even that. Like, so ice falls up and impales the guy, and it's just like, I kind of saw this coming.
It's like it's passing them after like driving like a dumbass.
Right.
It's passing them, and then the sheet of ice comes off the top.
Right.
And as it drives by, it comes back and catches the guy in the neck and takes him down. Which I have no idea how he wasn't decapitated on the way down. But basically he's all but decapitated.
If this was real life, he would have been decapitated. Let's be real. Yes. Like they just pulled this off for like, the show drama.
This is like the 1 in a million chance that this could happen.
Right, exactly. But I really love what I did love about this like call is that the 129 shows up and the captain says how he's gonna like put his best guy on this. And
first Tommy asks for his help, and he's like, help the paramedics that saved my ass from coughing up on my own whatever from the sand. I'm like, oh, he actually realized his mistake.
Yeah, I think he mostly just like grew a little just for the fact that he calls his best guy is Mateo, first of all.
Yes.
The moment we hear that, I'm like, oh, yes, finally. Yep. Like, we still don't like him, but he's had.
But Mateo's no longer a probie.
He's no longer a probie. I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, and like there's just that like fact. I was like, okay, I still don't like you, but this is a big improvement.
We'll take the improvement.
Yeah. And like basically like Mateo just has to like heat up the ice in certain spots to make it smaller so that way they can transport him and stuff. And it was funny after it was done, TK's just like, hey, look at our little probie all grown up, and Mateo's just like, shut up. Relatable. Like when anybody embarrassed you in front of like he's like, he is like, he's not appropriate anymore. He's past that. And like, he's embarrassed. Don't. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Marshall in jail. Well, and stuff. So, of course, she gets bailed out. And, who bails her out? Billy.
I was not expecting this.
Yeah, no, I was
I don't
not
think
either.
anything indicated that this could happen. Like,
I think we talked about this together. I think we're so expecting like maybe like Judd or maybe like Grace.
I was expecting Judd.
I think I mentioned Grace being the one to
I don't know, just anybody but Billy.
Anyone.
Because he's gonna hold that over her head. I know he's going to.
I didn't
actually at this point I'm not even making any speculation about Billy because I'm so thrown off by him like entirely at this point.
Right.
Same.
I'm just like, you confused me.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. And like, so Billy tells her, of course, about like Owen, because she's like saying, oh, like, if you hadn't like basically like done this to Owen, like he could have just bought a job back. And of course, Billy's like, oh, let me airdrop you this. And it's like, if Owen signed this basically like an apology agreement, he could have his job back. He could have been reinstated the next day.
Yeah, but Owen was being stubborn and didn't want to lie, so I was pretty mad.
I mean, Billy did deserve it, but like,
I know he completely deserved it.
like also, I don't know if I necessarily think he should have done that. Like, I mean, like sign the agreement is what I mean. But I'm also like, when you just want to get it over with, like usually that's how these things go.
Right. If you just apologize and like sign something, it's done. But Owen didn't want to.
See, at first I'm like, dude, like, why not? But I actually like, I'll explain more when we get to the part. But when we get to where Owen's explaining himself on this, I'm like, I can't blame him because I actually agree. But we'll get to that part in a little bit. But at this point, I'm just like, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, and I think, right at this moment, when Marjan figures it out, she gets pissed because here she's thinking this whole time the reason why they haven't been able to get the 126 back and get Owen back is because of he not doing all the stuff or that, all that stuff. And then for her to find out he could have gotten his job back months ago, I'd be mad.
Well, to my understanding, it wouldn't have changed anything about the 126.
True.
No, it wouldn't have.
So,
and also, like
that's not on him. But
yeah, and also like she had mentioned, like he like went to anger management. He did this. He did that. Like, and that's just like okay. And then Billy also throws in, oh, how he wants Judd to call him. Marjan's like, well, why don't you take a hint? Because Judd won't call him back. And it's like, no kidding. No kidding.
Yeah.
And stuff. What do you think? So, yeah. So back with the Paragon ambulance. Or back on the ambulance, I should say. So like the guy's pressure spikes, and of course his carotid gets perforated, so they pull over, and Tommy and Nancy pack with like ice, with like snow ice, like snow, and they get him back and stuff.
And they use the cold from the ice because the ice that was in his neck was starting to thaw. So they used more snow to help kind of cool it off again so they could get to the hospital.
And I just say, like, so where's all that water going exactly?
Yeah, I didn't want to. I'm glad I was not the one that had to clean up after them.
Nope. I love that they did show them cleaning up later, though.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, that was.
But no,
funny.
I was thinking about it getting like into the artery and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm sure they already would have had to have operated, so they would have suctioned that out and everything. But still.
Yeah.
But yes, then they also had to clean it up. So.
Yeah. Then we go to the call center, and this lady who was in charge, we've never seen her before that I remember, but I was like, we saw like 2 seconds of her, and here I am being like, oh, I liked her.
I liked what she said.
No, I did, because she's like, oh, if people, if they're going to light their furniture on fire to remove their upholstery, and I'm just sitting here like, yeah, that would be smart.
I'm just like laughing.
I'm laughing too.
Heck?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, in the logical sense, some of the upholstery can give off certain gases that are toxic, so that's why they,
Right.
But furniture is made of oftentimes a lot of wood, so if people don't have dry wood to burn to keep warm, there goes the old couch.
Oh yeah, honestly, like my dad did something like that a few weeks ago. Like he burned couch, but my dad does stuff like this quite a bit. So like
Right.
he knows to not like to remove the upholstery. Like
Mm-hmm.
so it's just funny to think about. But I'm just like, okay. And then of course Grace gets the call for the furniture store, which leads to Carlos responding to that, and we get a hell of a lot of Cop Carlos, which I am so here for. Like, yes.
Yes. We've needed it. He's needed some spotlight. Rafa deserves it.
God.
Oh yes, we're in desperate need.
Yeah, and like so Carlos like goes into the furniture store and apparently there's looters. Quote marks around looters, and he goes in and like and stuff, and then like the two guys are veterans and stuff, and it's kind of funny because Carlos tells the one guy to get up, and he's like saying how like he can't, and Carlos is just like, I know it's cold, but you have to get up, and he's like, I can't, and then Carlos sees his wheelchair, and he's like, oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can't. Okay.
Right. And they broke into like this furniture store. So it was like they were all tucked into the blankets in the bed, you know, in one of the beds.
Yeah. I was kind of like,
Smart.
hey, you know, it could be worse.
Right.
Yeah. And one guy was just like, you messed up my like my nap time or something like that.
They're like, and like he's got his gun on him and they're just chilling like it's no big deal to them. I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Love that.
Okay, honestly, in this moment though, I do feel for Carlos in a sense because remember the last time that he let somebody get away with something?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 208 happened. So
yeah, but this is a little bit different just because like I don't know, it just feels different because like these guys actually like I don't know. Like I'm trying to justify how it's different and like it is different and I just can't really explain why I think it's like different, but like it just feels different. Like in this situation, nobody was gonna get harmed, I don't think. And like I don't know.
The guys were just trying to get warm. They were homeless, needed a place to be warm. They broke into a furniture store, and so Carlos,
like there are worse things in the galaxy.
Right.
Exactly.
And we don't you could see the wheels turning too in Carlos's head. Like, how do I resolve this without like arresting them? But we don't really get to see right at that moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I do think that Carlos does mention there's a shelter nearby or something.
Yeah.
Definitely. Or does he take them to the shelter in the same scene?
No, he doesn't. It's later.
Okay.
So then we get Marjan coming in hot at the 122. Like she is pissed. It's so funny. Because she's just like Marjan like shows Judd and Paul about how Owen could have been reinstated and Marjan's just going off, which is super funny, especially for like Judd and Paul's commentary because like something comes up about like looking in a mirror and like Paul was just like, and yeah, for Captain Strand that'd be like looking in the mirror 10 times a day.
Yeah.
One, and I think she was mad because both of them ignored her call when she called.
Oh yeah.
So that's why she was storming in.
Judd's like, yeah, sorry, I dodged your call earlier, and she's just like, yeah, you're not sorry.
It's like, no, we're not. I think that was kind of how we see it.
No, yeah, we read that like body language of like what they were actually like, feeling and thinking, because that was definitely it. But then
it's like, you know, obviously they love Marjan and all that, but I imagine they probably just kind of needed her to stop trying to like, I don't know, write to them about something. So they're probably like, nope, I'm not at home. And I left my phone.
Yeah, same.
And look, a truck ran over it. Cool.
Yeah.
And
her storming off is so funny.
Yes, well, also like, because they were sympathetic towards Owen not signing it. And so she's obviously like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Right. And then she's like, well, I'm gonna go get him back. And they're like, you got to shift. And they're like, well, tell Captain Andrews I'm taking a snow day.
And Paul's like, we get snow days now? I don't know, but I'll tell him.
That whole scene. Like,
It's like perfect.
yeah. So then we get Carlos and he brings the guys and stuff to a church, so like to a shelter, which is super funny just because these guys they're definitely not religious, just the way they acted, like they were actually cringing at just like everything that was going on around them. They're just like
And the guy who was like, we like tell everyone who comes in that Jesus loves them all the time. He's like, great.
That was so funny.
Right.
It was so funny.
I'm just laughing. I'm like, okay.
And while they're kind of getting him settled, doesn't a tree come through a window? Carlos helps him kind of put it back. A coordinator. Because I think the next time we see him is when the building starts to collapse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, like at this point, like the tree comes through the window, and then they have to like obviously tape up the window and stuff.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't get worse until later. But then we get, of course, Grace and Judd again. And Judd mentions how, like, oh, you think we could stop Marjan from doing something she was set on doing? I think this is exactly when we started comparing her to Buck, because like they both, when they like are so set on something, they're gonna do it. You can't stop them. Like they're just gonna do it. And like Grace says how like she doesn't like the idea of her driving up to the hill country, and Joe's just like, the weather wasn't like this when she left, which is like typical man response, don't you think?
Yes,
it is a bit, honestly. Just like, well, it wasn't like this when you left.
Like that's
I'm just like, have you taken a look at a weather app lately, honey?
Men.
Yeah, I think Grace is happy that like men.
Yeah, and then like I think Billy comes up, so Grace mentions how like, oh, I knocked Billy out cold, and I'm like, that's bullshit. That's just drama. Like, come on, he didn't knock him out cold. Like,
I mean,
he probably did, but like that's a little much.
I mean, he sort of deserved it.
I mean, he did deserve it, but like she's just like, oh, the man knocked him out cold. Don't you think he should apologize? And I'm just like, Grace, listen. That's a little much. Okay, moving on. Just like being a concerned dad, because like Grace says how she's drinking chamomile, and he's like, are you sick? Are you fine? You only drink that stuff when you're sick. And she's just like,
I think she was like, no, the center's out of Earl Grey. I think she said something along those lines.
Yeah, she said like how like I only drink it when the call center is out of English breakfast.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, yeah, because you can see him being like all concerned, being like, why? And it's like, okay, you can calm down a little bit. But yeah, back at Owen in the hillside country. So Marjan shows up. She briefly says hi to Owen and then goes straight to Buttercup, which is a whole mood.
Oh yes, me too.
Yes,
I would
do the same thing.
Okay, if I met Buttercup, like Buttercup, I would do the same thing. I want to meet Ben.
Yeah, it's like, hi Owen, and then bye buddy.
Yeah.
She's so excited.
She's totally the enthusiastic auntie.
Yeah.
Like, so that we love that.
Yeah. And when she first walks in, she's just like, well, this definitely isn't Miami. And we knew like every character would like pretty much mention like some little thing. And I loved this. Like she's like to Owen, like, do you know what today is? And he's just like, Monday. And she's just like, D-Day. And Owen's just like, oh, I guess I missed the live. And she's like, yeah, you did. She like tells him how he needs to come back and sign the paper to save the 126. He's kind of like, how do you know about that? And then don't you just love his reaction? He's like, Billy.
Like, yeah, Billy.
He's not even fazed by it at this point. He's just like, Billy.
And this is kind of the point where I like hop in and I'm like, okay, the explanation he gives is somewhere along the line of just like he's tired. He's tired of fighting. He's
Right.
tired of like having to do everything that he's been doing. This is what like his vacation is basically. This is why he's out here. He is tired. And I'm like, okay, nobody rag on my boy here because I get it.
Yeah.
How long has he been fighting for?
I imagine that
All
probably
of
for
it?
part of the summer, he probably was doing anger management classes and all that was mentioned. And
And I imagine he was doing his part to save the 126 at first. And you gotta think we're going way back further than this. Rebuilding the 126 when he first came here, and then all the drama with Gwen. You want to go back even further? How about we talk about 9/11 and all the rebuilding that I had to do past then, and then being a single dad, and then like even
Exactly.
like co-parenting with Gwen. Like, still, he kept fighting, and now he doesn't have the energy anymore. And I
no.
cannot blame him for that.
no, I don't blame him
whatsoever.
either. I think he does. He does need a break. Seems like he's going nonstop.
And
Yeah.
like you can tell, like he's just worn. And
Yeah.
this is the part where I'm like, I've seen so much of people like giving Owen absolute shit for not being there, for like going out to the hillside and like abandoning everybody. And like they're trying to make him like to be a terrible dad for like leaving. They're trying. I don't know why they're villainizing Owen so much, but they're
Right.
villainizing him.
And here's the thing. It's been 6 months since the end of season 2. We don't know what TK and Owen agreed on. We don't know if there was a falling out between TK and Owen. For all we know, Owen and TK had a falling out and they haven't been speaking.
Or
we
they
don't
could be
know.
perfectly fine.
Yeah,
I
or
don't
they could
know.
be
And
communicating
maybe
with texts or something.
And maybe TK even encouraged his dad to do this. Like, guys, stop looking for drama where there's already enough.
Yeah, I don't know.
And like, stop making this worse.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I get Owen's made mistakes, but I'm sick of people hating on him and trying to make him into this terrible person when he's just like any of us, a flawed human being.
Agreed. And I guess I haven't really seen people like complaining about him recently, but that's also because I don't really go anywhere where people complain about him. Like I don't go on Twitter really that much. So, and that's I think where the bulk of the complaining comes from. But like I don't really think that there is any falling out. I think like if that is like a thing people are saying, that people are more so looking into it too hard and maybe you should focus your energy on something else.
No, so I've been seeing it mostly on Facebook. And I'm not going to call out any names or anything like that, but I like saw one thing that was about like Tommy, quote unquote, adopting TK because Owen's been such a shit father because he's been away and stuff like that. And I'm like, just like, bitch, fight me.
Bitch, tell me you have daddy issues. Come on.
I'm just like, guys, please stop.
Like
we don't know what's going on. Please stop making things worse before we know the situation.
That like things like that make me think that like some people have too much time on their hands, and then also people like are just reflecting because it's definitely not like that. Like, yes, do I like how things went last season? No, but like I just want to hope that like some good comes soon, but like I don't think it's as like big as people are looking into it as being.
I think people just need to like cool their tails. We have enough drama going on right now, and like stop trying to villainize a character that is not the villain.
Yeah, seriously.
Sorry, I needed to rant about that, but like
No,
since we were on like the scene that kind of had a space for me to rant, y'all got it. So
no, that's fine. I think you're right. I think the biggest issue we've got right now is that this episode is basically like the course of what the days that this episode kind of revolves around is going to be spread out over 4 episodes of the show, like in the next 4 episodes. So it's like this episode and 3 more is going to be like the Blizzard. So we're going to get a lot of storylines, but a lot of them have been spread out. So stuff that mentioned at the beginning of this era in this episode, we're not going to get more discussion about until like 2, 3, and 4. So I'm trying to just like kind of hold some of my judgment until I see like the whole bulk of the Blizzard episodes.
Oh, precisely.
But yeah, Owen needed to do what Owen needed to do, and anyone that's saying that he's a bad father because of it or he's a bad person because of it just needs to like take a chill pill.
Agreed.
seriously.
Agreed.
Exactly. Like, or just go jump in some snow. Like, same thing. Just
Yeah.
go enjoy.
Yeah. So Marjan leaves. Not a good idea.
Oh no, and he tried to stop her from leaving too, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
no.
Well, she didn't get what she wanted, is the thing.
Right.
So she was like, well,
Yeah.
there's no point in me staying. Like, I'll just leave. And it was Buttercup whining when she left. And I was like,
No, I know. It was so hard.
And Owen's just like, oh, you hush.
Oh, you.
That was kind of funny, though. I was just like, my poor Buttercup.
I know. He was just like, no, I have to come back.
Buttercup misses his TK. You gotta say that. Because, like, you
Oh,
know he
yeah.
does. Like, he's
Oh, yeah.
definitely living his best life in the snow, but he misses his TK.
He misses his family. Like, he was always
Right.
around the fire station a lot, and even let's face it, even if Owen wasn't in the hillside country, he still wouldn't be able to see his fire family with any regularity. And
Right.
so, like, this would be hard for Buttercup no matter what.
Yeah,
So-
change for
Right,
dogs.
right.
A lot of dogs don't, handle change well.
Especially when it comes to like displacement of their peoples, and like his people were spread out everywhere.
Yeah.
So we're back at the shelter now.
Yeah, so at the shelter, and then this is when the building starts to collapse. So Carlos has to carry the major out, which that's who he was carrying in the promo, which was interesting. Because that was
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
a huge debate.
Yeah,
It was,
a lot of
and-
people thought it was TK.
A lot of
Some
people
people
thought
thought
it was
TK. I thought I did briefly think, because we were getting like snippets of stuff happening with Grace, so I thought it was a later episode with Grace.
Mhm.
So there was a
Which-
huge debate, but this was somebody they didn't feature in the promos, so I don't
which
think
kind of makes sense that it was him because there was like an American flag patch like on the shoulder, and it totally makes sense. So like now
Right.
that
I
every-
never even noticed that before.
Oh, I did. That's just because you guys know I like really looked into things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, TK and Nancy, okay, they're becoming like my new favorite real friendship, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, we love it.
Like, yes. But TK was like saying like how they're gonna have to throw out like all these things, like their puke bucket and like something else. And he's just like so like focused on that and like just so like I don't even know his mood on that, but he's just so like narrowed in on that. And it's just like Nancy's just like, it's funny how it works though, isn't it? In the rig as in life, once you pinpoint what the problem is, you're already halfway to solving it. And TK's just like, I guess, but sometimes the problem isn't as simple as a perforated carotid or a virtual decapitation. And Nancy's just like, right, but that's why we roll as a team, right? When we put our heads together, there's no mess, we can't clean up. And Tiki's just like, I'm not telling you why Carlos and I broke up, Nancy. And we're just like, no.
Just not happy at that.
So this was
Yeah.
their first mention of the breakup. And okay, I gotta say, so this was how things went for us. Katie watched the episode when it aired. EJ got a spoiler about
And we
this.
talked about it the night
Oh
of.
yeah.
And I
Katie and
didn't
I
know.
were texting privately.
Yeah, and I didn't know, but like y'all, we got on Zoom to watch it together, and just the way that y'all were acting, I'm like, okay, just tell me before we get in.
Yeah.
And so they told me about the breakup, and I'm just like, oh, what the fuck?
It was the way I prefaced it though. I was like, okay, how am I gonna say this? And I'm like, so the crazy fans were right. Carlos broke up and we're all just like, what?
Yeah, which I'm still calling those fans paranoid,
Yeah.
but still. I was like, what the heck? And I'm actually glad I knew beforehand, because I
Yeah.
was able to like watch this and not like be completely thrown off of the scene.
Right.
'Cause I was like, okay, damn it, but
Well,
watching
and
it.
okay, so then like the rest of this scene, and before we really talk about it, Nancy says, "Why are you being so annoying about this?" Because she's like dying to know why. So it's obvious this is not just like
real.
a recent development. So Nancy is all of us right now. Like, what the hell is going on?
Tell
And TK's
us.
like, even TK is like, why are you so obsessed about this? And she's like, because I love you guys together. Everyone loves you guys together. Also, the mystery is killing me.
Nancy is me, okay?
And I was like, yeah, she's like the entire fandom right now.
The mystery
Nancy?
is killing us.
Nancy is like the president of Tarlos fan club, or like the number one Tarlos stan. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Which, like I was saying earlier, since these next few episodes are all kind of meshed together, it's really hard to say. And so right now we don't know why they broke up. I'm getting a vibe that TK broke up with Carlos.
Oh, I agree.
And I
Yeah.
think you guys both agree too. So I
Yeah.
feel so eventually we're going to figure it out. It may be on Carlos's end. It might be on TK's end. It may be a mutual decision they made to take a break.
Even though it doesn't sound like a break, it sounds like a break up.
Why
and
would
so I'm
you
like,
say break up if it was just a break? That's my thought.
exactly. Like it's literally one word difference, but they have very different meanings.
Mhm.
And so I'm just kind of like, I could maybe understand if they were taking a break, but like I'm so thrown off by the breakup part that I'm just like, you know what? I don't think we don't have any context.
No, we
So
don't.
it's really hard
And-
to fashion a guess.
Right. And we don't get context in this episode, which is a
Yeah.
sucky thing. And then we have the master teaser coming in.
Being
With-
contagious to Rafa.
Yeah, because Rafa's
That was the hardest. Ah.
I was not like a complete mess, but I was very anxious watching this episode when we got to the scene on. Like, I started not paying attention, and then I was very just anxious after this. But then the next day I was just like, okay, like, whatever. Just because
Like-
I know it's not gonna stay like this. We
Right.
all know it's not gonna stay
And
like
I
this.
think so, like,
There's no reason to get super worked up when we
Right.
know it's not going to be like this forever. It's not like it's done and over. We know that they want Tarlos together. Come on, they're their
Just-
main couple. Like, they're
Just
not
like a
gonna-
note to fans. If they didn't bring Tarlos together, they would lose most of their fan base. They cannot, as a show, afford to keep them broken up completely. They would have no show because they would lose their viewership.
Yeah.
And I would be some of the first out the door. I'm just
Me too.
saying, I love the show, but if they
Yeah.
took away Carlos, I would have such issues.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I
they,
think-
they know they can't do it.
right. And I think, like Grace had mentioned earlier, like, I got spoiled, my own dang fault for having my notifications turned on. And
It does
then
happen that way.
at some point I was just like, fine. And so I started kind of interacting with some people. And I remember, like, Ronan had said something, and then when Ronan live tweeted during the Eastern time airing, and then Rafa was gonna live tweet during the West Coast airing. And so while Rafa was doing it, he makes comments like, I never thought the Arlos could live without the tea. I'm like, that didn't help. And then the next day, Rafa had to add in and make an Instagram story of goodbye Tarlos Tuesday and a broken heart emoji. So that
But
was
it's like,
tough. Not
Rafa?
helping.
But like, at that point, you know they're playing into it.
Right. Of
So,
course.
like, I don't know.
Yeah. And then I think the first, I read a couple of articles. Both of them were interviews of Tim Meniere's. One of the articles, the first one I read, to be honest, I felt like it was a cop out. Like his response to why they broke Tarlos up was basically, yeah, we didn't want to just feel like they were stagnant for 6 months. So we decided to break them up to have some drama. And I'm like, that, like, couples are allowed to be together for a long period of time.
I don't think like that was really the main point. I think the thing is they didn't want like it to seem like there was a standstill for like 6 months. So I think they felt like at this time they had to do something. And stuff like, yes, they've been through a lot together, and people will make that argument, but also they
Mhm.
haven't really gone through something like this, and we don't even know what this is yet.
Right.
But like, they didn't want it to just be like, oh, we're back, and they're just like still like happy and nothing's changed. Like, I think they
Yeah.
had to do something. And I don't think that maybe the way the question was asked or how he worded it in some interviews was like the best, but like I think the way I explained it makes a lot more sense.
And I think, yeah, and then the other article I did read seemed a little better. It's like, hey, you know, we're not in the business of having everybody be 100% happy all the time, and we're in the business of having drama, but we're also in the business of reunions. So even though they have a hiccup or a breakup, it doesn't mean there won't be a reunion. And he flat out said, do not despair, which is the hint that at some point they're going to get back together, and, you know, Tarlos will be back together. Maybe they broke up because there was something one of them had to grow in or grow through. And, you know, so you just got to give it time. And I'm still upset. You know, everybody is, and they have a right to be. I'm not happy about it. I feel like things could have been done differently, but I'm not going to just completely shut the show off yet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like give it time. This is literally the first episode of the season.
Right.
Don't go to quits yet.
Right. And we know we've got a big, you know, it's been teased off and on. We know there's some big drama with TK's health coming up soon. I'm praying we maybe get a recreation of the 108 Tarlos in the hospital scene. You know, maybe that will, I don't know, bring some of Carlos's feelings back up. And see, I can't even say their names without just saying Tarlos.
I know, it's literally one and the same, which honestly I wonder if maybe they didn't break them up a little bit. Like, if just a little bit of the reason they're broken up isn't to give them each individual time to kind of grow them as individuals rather than like just Tarlos, which still don't like it, but I could almost see that.
Well, I think, to be honest, I get that, because the first season, we had a lot of Carlos with Michelle. Mm-hmm. The second season, we had a lot of Carlos with TK and then his dad. So we didn't get a lot of Carlos individual.
Yeah. I also I think this season they probably, I kind of get the vibe so far that this season they might try to focus more individually on characters. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like that stuff, but I don't know.
I'm very interested to see what they'll do.
Yeah. Definitely not the best, but also they will resurrect, they will be back. It's not like we'll get there.
Right.
It's not doomsday, people. We still have a lot
exactly.
to go
Good point.
I was totally gonna mention the bullshit things people have said, but I don't think I want to give those airtime, so never mind.
No, we don't need to.
If we want, we can rant about them after Carlos gets back.
Right. So back to the show. So after we have the scene with TK and Nancy, we go back to the church. So there's a fire starts. So the fire department comes. So the 122's there. So Paul and Judd are there, and they're trying to put the fire out. So by spraying water in the middle of the winter causes ice to form on said building that had already collapsed. And I thought this was a little funny line because so we get Judd they're all looking at it and you don't see what they're looking at first, and then Paul's like, oh yeah, we get those all the time in Chicago, and it's literally looking like Elsa's castle. And so what does Judd reference? Frozen.
Of course he does.
And they're like, oh, is that your new favorite movie?
He's like, I'm happy to
I thought that was a cute line.
No,
I totally just wanted to come out that he just watches anime movies and cries over them, though he pretends not to.
Yeah. And I love Carlos's, somebody said something to Carlos about having so many people displaced because the church had been setting up a homeless shelter and now they have all these people and they're like, well, what are we going to do? And Carlos gets the idea. They take everybody back to the place that had been broken into by Major earlier.
The furniture store.
Which was good thinking on Carlos's part.
Oh, very.
And I love seeing that the owner was like, it's the right thing to do. And it's weird because I've always thought that in a time of that, why don't places like a bedding store kind of open up to let people use the set up beds already, I mean, there's obviously reasons why they can't do that, but
I feel like they probably just don't do it because obviously you can't really lay on floor models technically, and it's probably a sanitary thing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, people are going to be concerned about looters, which
And
A
then
valid concern,
no.
but
I
Mhm.
know that would be a concern because if you think about it, like if people know that they can just go in there, they're gonna loot. At least that's how I
Right.
think it would happen. And it's not really funny, but it's like awkwardly funny. Like, you know, when you laugh in awkward situations, that's how I think of it. Because then, of course, Tommy's like, where can we set up triage? And Carlos turns around and is like, oh, I called in cuts and bruises. And Carlos and TK look at each other, and it's so awkward. Like,
Yeah.
for both of them.
and Tommy is looking between the two of them like awkward.
Like, are we good?
Yeah, that's literally the look. And like they both, like when they look at each other, they both seem like just as weird, just as hurt, just as whatever.
Yeah.
And they definitely still care about each other because the look is still like that endearing, like kind of look kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh
The
yeah.
longing. It's the longing.
Yes. And Carlos is just like, didn't know dispatch was sending in private units, and TK's just
I
TK's
wonder
just
if he
like
would have found a reason to be elsewhere at that point. I mean, he couldn't really have.
yeah,
because
he
he
didn't
was
know.
there,
Like
but-
it's not like it
Yeah,
wasn't
dispatch isn't gonna say, oh, this ambulance is coming, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like TK says, cities spread thin today, and Carlos is just like clearly
Which
I
is
was
a
like-
reference to season 1 again.
episode 3
Yep.
or no 2.
2 or 3. Yeah.
No, it's 2.
Is it the dinner? It's the dinner
Yeah,
scene,
that's
right?
2.
Yeah. Okay.
That's yeah. And like then Carlos, like when he's telling them how many people they have and like stuff, Carlos realizes when Nancy starts talking about like, are we looking for like green tags or what's the deal? And
Yeah.
Carlos realizes they're missing the teenage volunteer because she
Mhm.
didn't count herself.
Right, as
Yeah.
the amount of people over there.
And I'm
because
just
she'd
like,
been managing
oh my
the
god,
sign-in sheet, and she
Yeah.
had to put
Yeah.
herself on the list.
right.
Right.
So that's the point where you're like, oops.
So then Carlos has to take off and go back over to the scene to tell Paul and all them.
Yeah.
yeah,
And this is like when he mentioned Chicago and Elsa in this scene.
yeah.
It's okay.
love
We
it.
get a little too out of ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
But it was so
Well, some of those scenes, like for me, like kind of blurred together just because like if they're happening for the same like situation, it's
Yeah.
hard to disconnect.
yeah.
My brain puts them together in my brain.
That's why I kept scrolling and I was like, this isn't here. I know I wrote this down. And I'm like, oh, that's because it's later. Never mind. But anyways, I just love how they like teased him
Yeah.
a little bit about it.
Oh yeah. And he's like, I'm expecting a daughter.
Of course.
Then they're suddenly worried about all the ice because it's going to be heavier and it could collapse the building even more.
Well, they had poured like tons of water, like
Mhm.
actual tons of water on the building. So they go in, they could red tag the building. Like the building would basically like collapse. So it's kind of like one of those things like, is it worth to go in? But obviously they're gonna go in because there's a teenage girl in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And stuff. Like that would just be a really hard decision to make. But
Yeah.
they
There
go
are
in.
sometimes when you have to decide that you can't.
Right.
And I think part of the reason they were also talking about the water was because that's also a lot of water to have come down on top of you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So,
So if
they
she
might-
would have been in there the entire time, she would have had all that water coming down on top of her.
Right.
yeah, they could very much so go in. She could be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, it's just yeah.
It's the definition of a calculated risk.
Yeah. And at this point, we have both Paul and Judd and from the 122 and Mateo there with the 129.
Yeah.
And so the three of them, even though they're not technically working together on the same crew, they're at least there together.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Which it's like, it's the 126 without being the 126.
Yeah.
In there.
But Paul's the one that's like standing on the roof, I believe, and then like
Yeah.
it just starts coming down on him, and Mateo and I believe Judd are like behind him.
And they're
Yeah.
screaming for him.
They're like, Paul.
Yeah.
And he gets like it collapses basically on him and he goes into the building, like falls in. And it's just like, oh no. And then of course this is when all like the last disasters of the episode start coming in. And so we're
They're
gonna have
building
like
suspense.
Yeah, so they're building up suspense for next week. And so we have Owen walking Buttercup, and they find a guy passed out, probably the stabbed guy that we've heard about in the
Mhm.
descriptions. And Buttercup's just running around like living his best life again. And I'm just like, oh
Yeah.
my God. But he runs to this guy, and I'm like, Buttercup is like the best dog. And
Right.
stuff.
Oh yes, he's a good boy.
And Owen tries to wake this guy, and he speaks another language, and he's like, "Oh, I don't speak Spanish." But I just thought that was funny at first, like him being like, "Oh, I don't speak Spanish." Like, what if he was speaking another language? But I did translate it, and it was Spanish, so it wasn't
No, it
actually.
sounded very Spanish.
I wasn't
Yes, yeah.
sure. I wasn't sure because, like, at first, like, I didn't really, and I translated it, and he's like, "Leave me alone." That's what it
Yeah.
translated to, and I'm
Really?
Mhm.
yeah, I was kind of surprised too. I was like, oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
expecting like something way different, but yeah, leave me alone.
Like, please help, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not leave me alone.
Right? That's what I thought exactly.
I know. When I heard that, I was like, you want him to leave, because paz is peace, leave me in peace. But yeah, leave me alone is the general phrase. And
Yeah.
I was like, why are you saying that? Why aren't you saying ayúdame? Which is
And
help me.
I'm just kind of like, well, he's stabbed. And so, like, what the heck is happening here?
Right. But before we get any answers with that, we see Marjan driving down the hill country.
And we're
she
just like,
has to
this
swerve.
isn't fair.
Yeah, she
and-
swerves from a stationary truck.
Yeah.
And I have so many questions about that truck, I'll be honest. I'm just kind of like, okay, so what's the deal with that?
But
Right.
who's gonna save her? That's my question. Nobody knows she's there. Maybe Owen like is like, do we think Owen's in the right headspace to be like, does she get home?
Honestly, okay, I would say yes if he hadn't just found someone in trouble. That might delay his thinking about like worrying
Right.
about her.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about her just because Judd.
But they're a little preoccupied. Everybody's a little too preoccupied to think about her.
Okay, this is terrible, but why is this giving me like the vibes that nobody realized that Harry was kidnapped in the 9/11 disaster this season?
Oh gosh.
Oh, but it's kind of true.
I'm sorry to bring it up, but like that's just what I compared it to. Like I just thought of that. Like what the heck, Katie?
But we do have seen in some of the previews that she's like in the car, like digging around for stuff. So I feel like she's gonna get herself out and make it back to Owens, maybe.
She went down. Honestly, I'm guessing that she might have like a head injury or something from like hitting the windshield, but it wasn't like an extreme crash.
No,
she just went down a hill.
She just went down a hill, and I'm
so
like,
honestly, her biggest thing, like if the car is damaged, she might have to worry about hypothermia, or freezing, or just simply endurance, because at some point, even having the car will only save you so long.
Right.
And so she's gonna have to worry about that, but she does have shelter, as in she has the car. So unless her windshield is busted or something, she has some time to bargain with.
Right. And in the snow, it's told, stay with your vehicle if you ever get into a situation where you're stuck in the snow.
Yeah. Also, if people come looking for you, if they find your vehicle, that's the first place they're gonna look.
Yeah, and you can honk, use your horn for honking and things like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So unless something is literally really wrong with the car, she needs to stay there.
Yeah. So, and that is how the episode ends. So it's leaving all sorts of questions as to what's going on.
Right. Big suspense.
Yeah. After watching it a few times, I do like this episode. I really think it was a pretty good start. I mean, yes, there were some less than ideal things that happened, but like that's just life.
It's doing a good opening.
Yeah, it was a much better opener than 9/11, and obviously, we're gonna compare them. That's just how it is. And I really liked this opener. I think it was really good.
I think.
Yes, I agree.
I think this is a great premiere episode, and that. Kind of as we should for the first episode of any season, we have more questions than answers. Because that's good, because we have 4 episodes to get those answers in. So, no, I'm pretty pleased with it.
Yeah.
I think this really does have the makings of a good season.
Yeah. It's a solid start. I'm looking forward to the first few episodes being kind of a all-in-one episode where it's, talking about kind of the same storylines kind of molding together. Definitely bummed about Tarlos, but I don't feel like they're going to get him back together soon. How soon, I don't know. Maybe by the mid-season break or whatever. I don't know. I'm curious to see how things play out. Just in the now that the 126 didn't get demolished. So what's the next fight going to be? Definitely a lot of questions. I was a little curious. The kid in the ice, under the ice.
Wait,
still
did we
alive?
mention him? I can't remember if we mentioned him.
Yeah,
At
we
the very
mentioned him,
beginning.
but like we haven't got to that. So I think any thoughts we should keep for the next episode because I think we're gonna get him in the next episode.
Okay.
Though I'll be honest, I have so many complaints already about what they're doing with that. But it's literally just practicality.
Yeah.
Those are my only complaints.
Yeah.
So we can save them until the episode.
And then, so when Judd and Grace got hurt in season 2, we found out she was pregnant. So I imagine she was probably 3 months along by the time the season ended. So she's like ready to pop.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing like where that goes. What's the, what the plan with that. So solid episode. I agree. I'm actually losing interest in 911. So Lone Star.
I mean, I still adore it.
Yeah, I do too.
Lone Star has always been better for me. Like I've always
same
just
here.
liked it better.
And I like the characters in 911. I'm losing interest, and I don't know. We have heard mentions that Tim Minear his hand has been more into Lone Star this past recording season. So maybe that's why like his thoughts are in that, and so 911's maybe taking a different route. And it's I don't know because
If I'm being honest, it's like I adore 911. It's one of my top shows. I don't even compare Lone Star and 911 because I'm not sure I'd actually be able to choose a favorite. Because they just have different things I love. The thing about 9-1 is that their 5th season has not been their best. And so Lone Star is good anyway, but it's going to seem particularly good compared to some of the issues that have been going through season 5 right now of the OG. So, like, I get what y'all are saying because, like, looking in that context, it's like, yeah, so far this is off to a better start.
Right. And we know, we're recording this a few days after the, airing. So we've gotten the official numbers, and it even the premiere surpassed 911's premiere of season 5. So, and
I'm going to address something because I know we have a lot of listeners from both series, and how can I say this nicely? 911 fans, chill. Okay, because I love 911 just as much as any of y'all. But you guys are attacking Lone Star. I don't know if it's because you feel threatened, like you feel like 911's threatened by Lone Star's success or what, but you're attacking the actors, you're attacking the show. They're different shows. Leave them alone.
Yeah, literally.
That's been the other thing that has been my pet peeve this week, is just seeing like any number of 911 fans just ragging on Lone Star. And I'm just like, guys, quit it.
Like that's just a little much. Like that's when I'm like, maybe you should get like another hobby.
I'm just like, okay, 911 fans don't have to love Lone Star.
Right.
But that does not mean you need to rag on it too.
Right. And the actors of Lone Star are encouraged to promote their series. So of course they're going to say it's the best series on the TV,
Exactly.
And
like, stop attacking Ronan, okay?
Yeah, like
he's encouraged.
That's where I'm going with it. Is please do not rag on him for saying that Lone Star is the best best of the 911 franchise.
Or the season is the best of the entire franchise.
It was a joke.
It was a joke.
He's promoting his series. He loves Lone Star. It's his series. Of course he's going to promote it.
Exactly.
So please quit ragging on him for saying that.
Yeah, I'm just like, guys, take a chill pill. I'm using like y'all's phrase now. Take a chill pill. Because it's too much.
Yeah.
These fandoms can coexist.
Yeah, exactly. With that note, let's just move on to fan thoughts.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
be
positive.
So this will be a different fan thoughts because, of course, if you listen, TJ, who we had on like a couple months ago, I told him that every week I'm just gonna ask for his opinion on
Yes.
Lone Star. Because I actually really love his opinions, and I ask him anyways. And he was pretty excited about that. So yeah. So this is what he said. He said, I liked it. I think this one had a better opening than 910G. I'm dying to know what happened between TK and Carlos for them to break up, which we can all agree doesn't mean Carlos is actually broken up for good. Tim even said they are going to get back together. I love the friendship between TK and Nancy and how it grew, and I just love seeing Mateo doing a lot better now that he isn't a probie. That's amazing. And I was like, yes.
I think that sums
Okay.
it up pretty well, honestly.
Yeah.
Love it. Thanks, TJ.
And then I saw like on one of the Lone Star promos that I wanted to share that somebody made a comment about like a couple different things about like TK, Tarlos, so I want to share it. But it says some people that are saying TK better not die and Tarlos better get back together. I just want to say something. Firstly, TK isn't going to die because A, it would be a it would be dumb of the show to do that. B, he's a fan favorite and they would get so much backlash if they did that. And C, Ronan isn't leaving, which true. Down to the
Right.
Tarlos breakup topic. Tarlos are going to get back together. It won't be the next episode, but they clearly have some issues and they need to talk out. And TK nearly dying again will be the start of it. I was pissed when they broke up because at first it didn't make any sense to me, but when I realized maybe this breakup was needed to give us the opportunity to see everything the show skipped over in the relationship. It's temporary and it's obvious Tim is going to drag it out for a few episodes at least, and I'm honestly here for it. Not gonna lie, Tarlos being broken up will make them stronger for when they get back together. I'm here for the angst, and I really want to see pining TK because Carlos is going to be really focused on his job and isn't going to have time to chase TK around every day. I specifically love the part of like how when they get back together they'll be better than ever because that's what I've been thinking. But I think that addressed like a lot of things that a lot of people have been saying, which I really liked. And
I'm just like, okay, can we have one time where people aren't saying one person's gonna die?
that's what I don't like about some social media platforms, mainly Twitter and probably Facebook,
Yeah.
but I'm not part of like the fandom on Facebook.
It's there
Is
too.
people like just going off about like, oh, TK's gonna die and crying about it. Like, we all know that TK's not gonna die. They filmed like probably up to like episode 7, 8. I don't know how far they have filmed up, probably quite a bit. So we know that nothing like that is gonna happen. We know that Ronan's got lots of content this season and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like
so
we all
he's not
just
dying, people. Don't
Right.
worry.
take a breath. Take a breath. That's all I have to say.
Just
Yeah.
as long as TK continues on the vent. Sorry. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't expect to love the medic line as much as I did because I really liked him being a firefighter, but like I'm really digging him being a medic. So yes, I approve.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, now let's talk about the promo for next week.
Okay, to be honest, I haven't seen it yet.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I've
You
just
always
like
say
that's what I've been saying about like promos this entire waiting time.
No,
is
you
know I love the show. I've just been so preoccupied that
No, it's totally fine. We're gonna like pretty much recap it so you'll know.
cool. I'll just add
And some of it is like stuff that we've already seen. So like, oh, it's just like, let's go, which cool. Yeah, okay. Paul's trapped. TK is like shown, like, whatever. And Judge just like you hear Judge say, we need to get in there before you put a red tag on the building. Yeah, that was like a voiceover of over like probably the Paul scene, I think it was. And then we see the boy fall on the ice and like TK trying to get him, and then TK calls in, and then like Tommy and Nancy are trying to pull him in, and TK laying there nude. And I'm just like, oh, this is giving a
smiley face killers vibe.
this is giving me a smiley face killers flashback.
Yep. I was like,
Um,
all we need is the tape on the genitals and we right at home.
That's not gonna happen.
No.
Yeah,
Which I think if I remember correctly, somebody said that when they were filming these episodes, it was actually like 100 and something degrees out in California when they were filming these episodes.
I mean, it's LA. Come on.
Yeah.
It's not like, yeah.
It was really hard to see them doing shocking TK.
Oh yeah,
to
that
get his
did
heart
happen.
started.
Yeah, I forgot about that. And then we hear Nancy say, "We're not going to let you freeze to death out here." And Tommy says like severe hypothermia. And then we see the last part, which is Carlos looking in at TK on the vent, and like you can hear his voiceover, which is "How serious is this?" which we saw in like one of the first few promos. And then the last part of the promo is Tommy saying we need to find his father. And I'm just like, yeah, that would probably be good. Or at least some parental.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to say, and I don't know if people know this, after some of the things I've seen online, I don't think many people do. Okay. You're not dead unless you're warm and dead. So when people get hypothermia, they can actually be resuscitated for quite some time longer than a normal person can. Like when you're not hypothermic, it's like less than 20 minutes for a human. Like when you're not hypothermic, can actually be resuscitated a lot longer. They have to get your core body temperature up first. So a lot of people are like, he's gonna die. Okay, he's not gonna die. And to be honest,
literally know he's not gonna die because we see him in the hospital.
And yeah, and Ronan does have a job because he's been filming. So
people are just too traumatic. Like, come on. Like, he's not gonna die. That's just like you trying to like tweet that thinking you're gonna get like a bunch of likes being like, oh, TK died. I'm just so fed up with people's stupid comments.
I imagine we're gonna get what I would love to see is like the next episode, like when TK's on the vent and in the hospital, we're getting some flashbacks of him and people, whether it's the 126 or whatever. And then I know we're gonna get Gwen, and I know Ronan has said that there's gonna be some time of like TK getting some thoughts or getting like explaining more of like why he and his mom have the relationship they do. And
yeah, I believe that's I believe that's episode 3. Yeah. I remember him saying about episode 3 and that. So I think like episode 3 would be when we would get flashbacks. So I honestly think I know how I don't know. I don't know, but I think I have a theory of potentially one of the possible ways they could end this episode. What if they end it with like TK like seeing or Carlos seeing TK? Okay, maybe this is not it, but like I'm just theorizing and I'm like they're definitely gonna end it with him maybe like on the vent because I don't really think we're gonna see like any like I don't know. All we know is this next episode is gonna be sad.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be like a harder episode, which is kind of funny because one of my friends is gonna come over and watch it with me. She's like, should I bring tissues? And I'm like, I dare you to, because then I could take a picture and be like, Ronan, she brought tissues.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because they've explained that there was so much content that they added an extra episode of the Blizzard, so we are gonna get it kind of spread out. So I think I'm getting the vibe that the end of towards the end of episode 2 is when TK falls in, he's on the ventilator at the hospital, Carlos is seeing him, and then I need to get a Carlos at the hospital at his bedside, but not thinking he should be there, struggling, but maybe TK's made him one of his emergency contacts because they can't get a hold of Gwen and Owen or something, and I just need something, Carlos.
Yeah, well, this is how we can logically think about this. Gwen is in New York, so she would have to take a flight to get there. So there's no way she's gonna get there in time. Owen is in the hellside country. He like is so detached right now that I don't think he would get there, which is why Tommy says we need to go find his father.
Well, no. Here's the deal. He's a little preoccupied right now.
That, but also like I just don't think like Owen's really checking his phone. Do I think he probably shut it off? Maybe.
I mean, maybe.
I don't think he's
but it also
abandoning TK. That's not what I'm
No.
saying. I'm
no,
saying
and that's why I was saying about remember he's a little preoccupied right now because like people need to stop hating on him. But like it could be any number of things. Maybe his phone died. Maybe he shut it off. Maybe he's just lost it. Maybe
Right.
or maybe he just can't get out because we're in the middle of a blizzard. He's in the hillside. It's dangerous to try and make the trek down.
yeah,
Right.
I mean storms also mess with reception. Maybe he doesn't have good reception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he lost service. We don't know. So like I think like Carlos is like next best step. Wait, maybe that's why Carlos shows up because he's his emergency contact.
Yeah, and TK never changed it.
Imagine TK changing it in like another world and like changing it to Judd.
Oh my god.
Oh gosh.
Judd comes in and smacks him across the head like, what the heck were you thinking?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm excited for it, even though I'm not excited to cry.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
what
just
are they
kinda
gonna
like,
do?
all right. Bring it at me.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. I do think that they could have aired like the first two episodes together, and I think that
Yeah.
would have honestly been smarter.
I'm not excited
Yeah.
for the break.
Same here.
I'm just
Yeah.
like,
I think it's so
guys, why are
weird
you
that
showing it in the middle of premiere episodes?
right. It's like
Didn't 911 do something like that? I vaguely
During
remember.
premiere episodes?
I don't know,
forget when they did the break.
it just seems weird that like after 2 brand new episodes they're gonna take a week off. I'm like, and we've
We
already
haven't
figured
been able to
it's
find a logical explanation yet, have we?
No,
because they're
there's no-
re-airing the first episode.
There's no logical explanation. Maybe
Mm-mm.
this is just like how things like
Unless they're
Mississippi.
spreading it out because they want to make sure that episode 10 ends on a certain day.
it could be.
So
but
when
they already extended the episode count. So
no, they're
well,
not
not
going
the
to get
count,
19
but
episodes.
the amount. Yeah, not the count necessarily, but like how things fall.
Right.
So I'm just like, I'm so confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like either way, like yeah, it sucks, but like at least it's just like 1 week.
Yeah.
And with all
Yeah,
the
at
content
least
we're
it's that.
getting, 1 week will be nothing. It'll be nothing. Like it
Yeah.
won't seem like nothing at the time, but I think it'll be fine.
I think that'll be fine. Yeah, we'll live.
We've been through worse.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, we'll just be happy to have it back.
Exactly. Imagine how happy we'll be the next time when it's back and we're like, oh yay.
Thank you guys so much for joining us and listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Anchor. We're also on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, and almost anywhere where podcasts can be found. On iTunes, please rate us and leave us a review. It would mean a lot to us. You guys can follow the podcast on our socials at 911 LS Roundup on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You're also welcome to join our Discord server, which the link is in the description of the podcast and our Instagram bio.
You guys can follow me, Kitty, at For Love of Tarlos on Instagram and at For Love of Tarlos on Twitter.
You guys can follow me, Grace, at RonanRafflin911 on Instagram and at CheapGirl31 on Twitter.
You can follow me, EJ, at EJ8302 on Instagram and Twitter.
Bye.
Bye.